again, I think it comes down to, Damon, I know you guys have documented a lot of process and all of that. I think it just comes down to having something documented, guys, to figure out what is your follow-up cadence, right? We're, again, getting back to the heart of everything is if you're not focused or have some sort of roadmap of what you should be doing, you're going to be lost. And a lot of times, guys, we are doing this. We're just not documenting it, an easy to follow process.
Because the management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
Well, I appreciate you for that. And I think we are live now as people are rolling in. And first of all, while you guys are rolling in, thanks for joining us the day after 4th of July holiday. I know a lot of people are hungover, and I don't mean drinking, probably lack of sleep, but also drinking. Big shout out Damon. He was gonna join us live from his campsite with Starlink internet, but it wasn't quite there, so he drove back home to join us.
Elon failed me.
Elon failed you. As you guys are rolling in, though, Gabe Cordova here, Core Group EXP, a few different markets, also Realtor in Residence with Wailopo. Want to thank Wailopo and LabCoatAgents for sponsoring this, putting it on. But hey, would love to know where people are joining in from as we're talking about, I think, a topic that's on the top of everybody's mind right now, which is really going from loss to focus within our databases, within our businesses, within our teams, all of that. But I would love to know where you guys are joining from. Tyler, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas in the house, San Diego. Yeah, would love to know where you guys are at as we kind of just give people a few minutes to jump in. And then a couple just kind of housekeeping items as well. Number one, yes, this is being recorded. The recording will be posted into the LabCoatAgents Facebook group. It'll also be on their YouTube page, which might be a little bit easier to find for the video recordings. And we're going to be discussing a lot of information that we will have available to you that Damon's willing to share and all that. So again, yes, it is being recorded, and looks like Jake threw in the link to their YouTube channel if you guys want to grab that so you can watch the replay. So again, do quick introductions. Gabe Cordova, Core Group team lead for Core Group at EXP in Boise, Denver. We're growing all over Texas and in the Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona area right now as well. And Realtor in Residence for Wailopo, really helping teams and brokerages bring in tech and utilize it so that we're getting as much out of what we've got as possible. And for those of you that don't know this mug over here, I mean, handsome mug. Damon, give us a little bit of background. Who are you? Where you been? What you been doing?
Damon Gettier, been in real estate. This will be the 21st year. Our team's been #1 in our market, Roanoke, Central Virginia, for 10 years straight. This is our 10th year being #1, and #1 by a large margin. We're probably #1 by 50%. And it's through collaboration, through, Zoom videos, Facebook groups. I used to laugh. I learned everything I know about real estate through either MySpace way back in the day or Facebook. MySpace got me started, and then Facebook got me going. So I've learned everything I've known through Facebook.
Don't even say that. We also go way back. I think we met probably at a Boomtown conference. I don't know, but we've been networking and collaborating for what, 15 years now, probably?
Yeah, probably 15 years now.
Long time. So what's awesome is there are days and certain things where I call up Damon and I'm like, I'm lost, I need help, talk some sense into me, and the other way around. So it's been an awesome collaboration and masterminding in a group. And what I loved about this topic that came up, and I think it went really well into something that we have R&D'd from you, but going from lost to found, I think a lot of agents, team leads can really relate when you open up your CRM or you start your day and you just don't know what the hell to do, or you get confused. And I know you're going to share some things that you and your team are doing to make sure that you're not lost, that you guys are getting the numbers, the dials in, staying number one. As you are sharing with us, guys, I'll try to share and jump into share screen into Damon's Follow Up Boss account, ours, into some documents that we've created to help create SOPs around this. We will be sharing that with you at the end. Not selling it to you, just sharing it to you. So please stick with us. If you do have questions as we're going, down at the bottom, you can throw it in chat. It's just easy to miss those and they get buried. But down at the bottom of the Zoom screen, you'll see a Q&A section. Please type your questions in there. We'd love to address them as they're relevant and as they're coming in. But if you can please use that Q&A section. So Damon, you're also a coach, team lead, and all that. What are some of the struggles when we see the top of this, is from lost to focused, I guess not found, but focused. What are some of the struggles that you're seeing where agents are losing focus before we just jump into solutions? What are some of the pains you're seeing, or why?
Well, I think the biggest thing I see is that, across the country, people don't know who they're calling today. They don't know who they're calling tomorrow. They don't know what they're doing to get business. And, it's pretty dire situation when you wake up and you don't know what you're going to do today or tomorrow to earn your income. And, we just make sure that that's not an issue. That, and I think that so many people are focused on the ones that do prospecting work, or so many are focused on getting new business, and they're not focusing on keeping what they already have. And so I think those two things, one is not having a plan of action. Number two would be, once you get something, not taking care of it, is the two biggest mistakes I'm seeing agents across the country make right now.
So there are a couple of things that you triggered that surprised me, and I help jumping in with a lot of team leads and agents across the country as well. Is a lot of we're both agents, right? We've been in the trenches. We're doing this. Working with team members. Both of our spouses are still actively selling and listing and doing things. So we're still very much in the trenches. And it does surprise me how many people, agents, using your words, are waking up not knowing what they need to do to create business, right? Mm-hmm. When we go back to probably previous careers, we had a job and we pretty much knew the next day what we were going to be doing. And I think that's where some of that lost and unfocused is coming from. So I know, and I don't know where you want to start, but one thing you said to me when we were talking about this, anybody that knows me, I'm just gonna be all over the place. You were saying like the market's a little bit different than it was a year ago versus the year before you versus 5 years ago. And you said something to me, and I'm going to show your account, but I want to talk to the idea behind it. But you were saying that the agents today are not having enough conversations with the same people. And that goes back to what you were just saying, is we're always chasing new, and people think they need dials, but you tweaked that a tiny bit. And it was really kind of an aha moment for me, because I instantly pulled up our database. So I'd love for you to kind of talk about, how we are getting more out of who we have. And you said something about more conversations with those people.
Well, so many agents, they want to click a box. They want to check a box. And whether you work for yourself, you're your own team leader, or you're on a team, everybody wants to check a box. All right, I did that. I can move on to the next one. And the problem is what I'm seeing with the teams that I've been coaching across the country, and we've solved it for the most part on my team, but still, there's always room for improvement, is we're doing one and dones, having one conversation with somebody, labeling them, ABC, hot, medium, cold, whatever you want to say, and then not calling them again for a month to 2 months. And the biggest problem is everybody's just looking. I don't care what business you're in. I used to sell cars. I used to sell electronics. Every customer, the very first conversation is, I'm just looking. And it's because nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to be helped. Okay. And you really got to get that into your brain. And unfortunately, the newer generation of agents have not read Zig Ziglar. They don't understand that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care, And so what I would say is, on our team, we really focus on having 2+ conversations per lead per month. And what I mean by that is, when I look at somebody's database, and I use Follow Up Boss, you use Follow Up Boss. When I see an agent, you got it pulled up. So
So you're going to reporting, going into calls.
Oh, yep.
And I'll just pull in last month so you can see a bigger picture here. All right. So what are you looking for here? This was an aha moment for me. So if you guys are listening to this and really looking for something, this was insane to me.
All right. So click on conversations just to rate them top to bottom. So Tessa, she had 263 conversations with 103 people. And I think that's about 2.4 to 1 is what that ends. Well, that's 2.6 to 1 there. It was 2.4 to 1. So it's, 263 conversations with 103 people. She's on average having more than 2 conversations per. Jared's 128 to 188. It's not nearly as good on Jared. Charity's a little better.
So let's just slow down there a second. I want to, because I started diving in and we were really guilty of this. And this has been a big focus just in the last week of preparing for this, that we're shifting. When you say not good, and I think people are like, holy crap, he had 188 different conversations with different people. The calls are nuts. But really kind of break this down. What do you mean the difference between, not good when you're referring to Jared?
If you look at Tessa, and I'll tell you, if you were to see my sales board number, Tessa has 2 times more pending than Jared also. It would be that, you're having more valuable conversations with a consumer. And I don't know why real estate agents think it, but they think we can contact somebody one time and say, well, save my number. And if you have a need, give me a call. And we really think they're going to call us back. But, we teach our agents treat every lead like an A till they prove they're a B or a C. Because everybody's going to tell you they're just looking. Every single consumer, only the dumb one says, I want to buy a house right now. Everybody else is just looking. Okay. And so it's a follow-up. And it's not a sales follow-up. It's a customer service follow-up. And it's just, I know you're not looking to buy right now, but it takes the pressure of the sale off. Okay. And so when you look at Tessa's having really good conversations. She's averaging more than 2 conversations per lead. And the biggest thing to remember is there are probably, and I don't know the numbers, I'd have to go in there and look, there's probably 60 or 70 that she only had 1 conversation with, which means she's having 4, 5, and 6 conversations with other people, which means they're establishing a relationship, which will then convert into a sale.
Yeah. And I'm going to go deeper here with people because it's like, okay, great. Yeah. Thanks for this, genius advice, having conversations, but I'm going to go deeper into why. But when I started looking, and I would challenge anybody to go into their CRM, whether it's Bub or whatever, and look at how many conversations are being had and then the ratio. And a good chunk of yours are that 2 to 1, right? Double, almost triple, double. And when we were chatting, how it correlates to those that are selling, when I pulled up ours, it was very similar. I don't even want to compare how many dials your agents are making versus mine. It's insane, the difference. And we're going to go into deeper too, because you're giving them really good places to go look and who to call and taking the thought process out. But this made me start realizing when I was digging in here, it's not just having more conversations. And what Damon has taught, and he taught this to our group a few weeks back, is not being an MLS agent, not just assuming somebody's going to call you back, just not setting 263 people up on a listing alert and assuming they're going to then wait for the right one to hit and then call and schedule it with me. A lot of these conversations, because I started snooping, Damon, I started going in there and I'm like, what is it? Why are they having so many conversations? But they were going in there proactively checking like the hot sheet and doing things and reaching out with something of value and offering it to them versus just waiting for it to come back. So it's not just the conversations, it's also what they're saying.
Correct. And even if someone says they're buying X in X neighborhood, and we found an off-market property that's Y in Z neighborhood, we're still calling that person, even though we know they're not interested, and say, hey, I know you're not looking for this, but do you know of anyone that is? And what's really weird is there is a percentage of these people that will change their criteria for that off-market property. And like this year, our goal is to sell on our buy side. Our goal is 50% of sales will be off-market properties. That's our goal. 50% will be off-market properties.
So, and this is a whole different webinar.
Yeah,
a whole different webinar because again, there's just something about talking to somebody, but we're talking about going from lost to focused, having conversations with people, but different conversations. Just that whole, well, this is off the market. Do you think all of a sudden, it's not even like a takeaway, but it's like, well, wait a second, tell me about it.
Right.
And I know we're doing a lot of, lead generation and things happening where people do have addresses, right? So everybody's like, well, I don't have off market. I think we'd be shocked if we actually went in and focused in our database. Every seller lead you have, anybody in your database, past client, seller lead, anything that has an address on it is an off market property. We're just not having conversations about them with the right people.
Everything is for sale.
Yes, everything. Yeah, I love it. So you're going in that 2-to-1 ratio. I want you to talk about, because you said we're going to have these conversations and hit the votes that we deem ABCs. And I'll pull up a document here that I know you're willing to share. I ripped it off from you a year and a half ago, made it our own. But talk to me a little bit about the idea of what ABCs are. And then I'm going to show a document to help, because this is something that's helped us organize to a calendar. And I'll even show you one of our agents' calendars and how they're doing this to not be lost in their day, because the agents are waking up not knowing what the F to do.
So A is a hot lead. It's somebody that's going to buy in the next 30, maybe 45 days. They have a timeline. They're actively looking. An A we call every single week, preferably every couple days. You shouldn't probably on a hot lead go more than 2 or 3 days without talking to them. If you do go more than that long without talking to them, then your competitor will be talking to them. So you're opening the door. B is a lead that's going to buy anywhere from 30 days to 6 months for us. And a B lead is usually time bound, meaning they're retiring. They got someone graduating from school. They've got a job relocation, something like that. It's usually defined. And when we look at our leads, there's a lot of A's, there's a lot of C's, and B's are a little more rare. We have less B's than we do A's. Those have to be followed up. If you look at a calendar, can you just pull up a calendar, Gabe? If you look at a calendar, just look at any week that has an 8, wherever the 8 is that week. So that prior week, you need to be calling them, and then look for a 15. 22, look for a 22. Wherever the 22 is that week, you need to be calling them. And so it's really simple. A's get called every week. B's get called the week of the 8th and the 22nd. And then C's, anything out past 6 months. C lead gets called the week of the 15th. So wherever a week has a 15 in it, that's the week you call that lead. Now,
so I'll pause you really quick, Damon. So, and we're going to share this with you. And when the first time Damon told me about this, it took me a minute to process. Document everything. I've put this down in writing. We'll share this with you. It's actually a document when we bring people on our team, we have them sign because it has expectations with it. But everything in here, I'm going to skip the top part because it's a sort or a stage we use. But A's are weekly. So you're basically saying every week, an agent, and poor Alicia, I always pull up Alicia's calendar. Every week, you should see some sort of time block. Here it is. She's on her, she's calling her C's now. An A. Every week, you should see somewhere an A block, right? Every other week, Damon recommends the week of the 8th and the week of the 22nd. But during that week somewhere, Alicia's off, she just came back from vacation, there should be a B. Once a month, there should be a C block. So hers is, I think, this current week. I think we just saw it. But document this, because what this is going to allow you to do is, first of all, we all hate tasks. Let's just own it. We hate overdue tasks, but that's what we tend to have more than anything. This is giving you focus on time blocking so that you're hitting certain stages. So you're saying an A is so good, it should not go more than 7 days without a call, right?
Yep.
B's are so good, they should not go more than 14 days without a call, so twice a month. And then C's are once a month, right? So this is a long-term nurture. And then we went ahead and defined this all out. And again, we're going to be sharing all this with you. Even
so
out.
back up 1 second, Gabe. So
Yeah.
So we all know when we prospect, we generally don't leave voicemails. Okay. When you follow up, you always leave a voicemail. Okay. And then what we do when we leave the voicemail on the follow-up on the A's, B's, and C's is if they don't answer the phone, and I don't know, I'm going to talk to these agents like they're my agents. I don't know what it is in an agent's mind to think it's the client's job to call them back, or it's the client's job to respond to them. It's not. We're serving them. They're not serving us. Okay. So when we call them and we leave a message, then what we do is we send a text that pretty much recaps that message so that they don't have to sit there and listen to it. So it's there, but it's 2 contact attempts and both of them are very professional. Okay. And that's what we do. And it works very well for us. So that's what I would suggest you do is leave a message and then send a text saying, hey, Gabe, I just left you a message, reaching out because the off-market property came up. I know you're not interested, but it's in blah, blah, blah. It's 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And it's $270,000. If you're interested, let me know. Okay. Because me being proactive, me reaching out and me letting them know I'm a professional real estate agent that has not forgotten about them.
Yeah, it's staying in front of them. Somebody mentioned, hey, I need this defined. I think that's a great starting point, right? If you're feeling lost, a lot of times we're doing things, but we're not documenting it and putting it into a process to review, right? So we need to see that. And what Damon had put together and then we're sharing is really kind of documenting that, now having a purpose for the call, right? A's being, relatively quick. It's going to be a different message or conversation than a B and a C. But one thing that you just said too, and I think where we need to really make sure we're getting focused or we're going to get lost, is I don't think a lot of agents understand the difference between lead prospecting and lead follow-up, right? It's two different lenses, right? So for us, it's very clear when you're making dials, you're following A's, B's, C's, these are real people, right? And by definition on that document that I was showing, and I'll just pull it up again, right? I know instantly when I go into a CRM and I look at stages, I know real person 6 months or more. I know real person unlikely to do business with us anytime soon. Unknown. I know we've made attempt, but we don't know anything about this person yet, right? All of this needs to be documented so we're not shooting in the dark, so we know what every stage is in our CRM. But the big part is A's, B's, C's, those are follow-up. We're following up with people that we had conversations with. That's really that 2-to-1 conversation. I think that when I was digging into your database, these are the people we need to have more conversations with.
Yep.
When we're prospecting, a lot of times these are new or people have been in the database that are triggering, priority alerts from Ylopo or doing whatever it is that we haven't connected with, but we need to get focused on who we're calling. So I'm curious, when you guys are making calls to your agents, Damon, are they doing all of their follow-up and then all of their prospecting, or do they mix them in between? Do they kind of look through different lenses, or how are they approaching that?
What do we teach them or what do they do?
What are your top, let's do that. What are the top performing agents on your team? What are they doing? Or what's the consistency that's working the best?
So we talk about apples all the time. Okay. So we take care of the apples that we've already picked before we go pick more apples. Okay. So I've already got somebody, I know what the motivation is, I know what the timeline is. And by the way, on Follow Up Boss, in that top box that says background, if it's not in background, if it's not top box, everybody needs to take that top box, drag it up to the top. Everybody needs to know there needs to be a motivation up there and a timeline, and an area if you want area. But those two things, motivation, timeline. With motivation, timeline, you can have a conversation with anybody. Without motivation and timeline, you have to go search through your notes to find out what those two are. You need motivation, timeline. So anyways, so motivation, timeline is always at the top. And then we always call our follow-ups first. Okay, we call follow-ups first. And what I found is that if they haven't called their follow-ups by end of day Wednesday, they will not call them that week. They just won't. And what happened is Monday, they gave themselves permission to kick it off till Tuesday, kick it off to Wednesday, kick it off to Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday's a bad day to call. So I'll do it next week, and it just doesn't happen. And so we start our week, and we also start our week on a high because these are people that we know we have somewhat of a relationship with. They're more likely than not to answer the phone, and they're coming off a weekend of where they've been driving around. They saw this house was for sale. Now it's pending. They went to an open house. They came off a weekend where they were thinking, talking, doing real estate, and we're following up with them right off the bat.
I love that. So Amanda has a good question, and I agree 100%. Is I would rather follow up with people that I know are real and have some sort of buying or selling need, less than 6 months for us. That's really where we're focusing before I go start chasing other people that I don't know anything about. So it's really hitting what you've got. And I'm going to show you how we do that real quick. And at the same time, Amanda asked a question, and I'll be able to answer this kind of at the same time. But she asked, do you incorporate other follow-ups aside from just calling weekly, biweekly, and monthly? And the answer is yes, right? We're focusing, I think, on the easiest thing to do, but that for some reason agents aren't doing, which other Damon's team, they call more than anybody I've seen, I think. The calls are just easy, but yet we avoid it. So when Damon's talking about doing follow-up first, I'll jump in. I'll pick on Alicia again, just since whoops, there we go. So I'm going to jump into just Alicia's calendar. So when Alicia comes in, hold on one second, I got some filters in here. When Alicia comes into her database, and again, we use FUB, you guys, whatever, she doesn't really work out of her all people. But when Alicia comes in each day, we've created smart lists. Damon's got his set as well. He's got the second best set of smart lists out there, which we can explain later. But she comes in right now. We've got our now list is like, who does she have in our now stage? These are her. I'm not relying on the MLS. This is like her digital whiteboard. I want eyes on them every single day because I'm actively trying to do something with them, get them under contract, find an off-market property, confirm an appointment. It's our now list. So she looks at this every day as our digital whiteboard, make sure that this communication column isn't outside, should not be outside a day or two at the most. And then she comes in, who do I currently have that's a hand raiser? Now I show this list, everybody's like, oh, great, that's exciting, Gabe, it's empty. But we built this list to show Alicia, who do we currently have that's a hand raiser you've not called in 4 hours? For us, anybody raising their hand inquiring on a property is worth a call every 4 hours, which is twice a day. So if I kill that filter, she's got one. She just called them a couple hours ago, so they're not showing in her list, but she's going to follow up with inquiries before she does anything else. It's our lowest form of low-hanging fruit. So in 2 more hours, because of that filter, it'll pop in there. But because it's in a list, right now, she's like, boom, nobody with her hand in the air right now. Who do I have right now engaging with HomeBot? She's got 3. She's going to follow up with these 3 people. One's a past client, one's a C, and one's a long-term, maybe not, but they're engaging with HomeBot. She's going to follow up with these 3, right? So we had 3 ones, we're at 4, 5, 6, 7. She's going to figure out, do I have anybody today talking to AI? Nope, it was 3 days ago. She's going to jump in here. Do I have a nudge list for us? Is anything the team is like elbowing them saying, hey, you might want to have a look at this? So this is one she's going back and forth with the lender on that they're trying to get financing. She's going to follow up with them. And then she's going to hit her priority leads. Now, this goes to Amanda's question. On top of just calling, Damon uses this as well. We have Ylopo. They're doing digital remarketing, following people along around online, showing them ads of homes that they think based on their activity they'd be interested in, as well as sending out dynamic listing alerts, finding homes again, changing it up, putting them in front of them, triggering activity on there. So like this one came in, hey, this person just came in this morning, looked at 5 different listings. Here's the average price. So on top of the calls, we're leveraging Ylopo to go in and act, to get these people to activate whatever they're doing and come online and start looking at homes and tell us, hey, regardless of stage, these are the people that you've not called in a day, have triggered a priority alert, that have a good phone number and have just been on your site, call them, right? So Alicia goes through her lists first, right? She's going to go through, clear these lists out, which for her was about 15 to 20 people. That's her follow-up. These are all people she's met. Then what she's going to do is when then Alicia can come in, she's in Boise, is then she's going to come in and go, okay, is there anybody in the Boise pond that's up for grabs that has their hand in the air that hasn't been called in 4 hours? Boom. Here's 2, the best 2 she could probably call. Who in the ocean right now is engaging with HomeBot? Nobody. Who in the ocean right now is engaging with AI? 12 minutes ago, an hour ago, 2 hours ago. So it's basically, Amanda, we're leveraging Ylopo and their technology to fill lists, whether it's new leads, leads asking to go look at homes, clicking on homes, saving favorites, to gauge the agents to call, but they're going to call their own first and then the ones that they haven't. So follow up first, then prospecting. So I just wanted to show you
Amanda, to give you a really short answer to that, it's tempo based and then activity based. So tempo is your A, B, and C, and then you look at the activity of all. We actually have a lead manager that goes through, and anything that's activity based that an agent has assigned to them, an A, B, or C, that they have not called, we nudge them. They have 24 hours to reach out. If they don't reach out, we reassign the lead. Because like a C, that's not going to be called for 30 days, but they're doing something, they're not a C. Okay, because nobody's just looking for 6 months and not doing something. And so, they have 24 hours to do something. Once we nudge them, that we reassign the lead to somebody who will do something.
Yeah. And again, I think it comes down to, Damon, I know you guys have documented a lot of process and all of that. I think it just comes down to having something documented, guys, to figure out what is your follow-up cadence, right? We're, again, getting back to the heart of everything is if you're not focused or have some sort of roadmap of what you should be doing, you're going to be lost. And a lot of times, guys, we are doing this. We're just not documenting it, an easy to follow process. One other thing I'll throw in just on the share for you guys. Damon knows I'm nuts. I document everything. Every lead source that we have coming in, I literally document the process, right? So I want step-by-step document of every process. How is it coming in to follow a boss? Are we calling? If it goes into, does it trigger an action plan? If it's an action plan, what is the action plan that it triggers? I can literally go to that. If we're going to call, what is the script that we're using, right? I've got my script loaded in here. After the script, what are we sending? All right, we're sending listing alerts or seller alerts. Everything, that's all day one, step by step. So I'll give you guys a step-by-step on our Ylopo lead gen as well, to help you guys have a process, to give you a blueprint to start documenting what your process is. Here's a QR code for everybody. Damon and I are willing to share the ABC steps, the stages defined. I'll throw in an SOP, standard operating procedure, on a lead source day by day to give you guys basically at least a starting point to start figuring out how to get organized so you can focus on what's important. And I'm going to ask Damon for his closing thought here in a second. But guys, when you're creating this, what I want, because we're at the man, 30 minutes flew by. Guys, when you're creating this, have a process. If you don't have a coach, get a mentor, get a mastermind, get into a great group. Damon's brought me into a great group where I get to go talk to other agents, Proximity Network. We can get that link in here as well. But find people that are doing this. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, rip off and duplicate, right? A lot of what Damon and I have done, we've ripped off from other people, changing and making it our own. But focus on who you've got. Don't necessarily think it has to be that new one coming in or you're going to start this for the new stuff. Keep new coming in, but take a lot of what we've shown you and apply it to who's existing in your database and bring as much of that back to life as possible. So Damon, closing thoughts here. I've got the QR code up there. We'll get that to them. Lost of focus. If there's just a takeaway that you can share of your 20 some years of doing this, what are some of the first steps?
I mean, success is boring, y'all. It really is. I mean, just do the basics and do them very, very well. Do them over and over again, and you should be successful. The other thing I'd say is, find some people you trust to talk to, bounce stuff off of. I will say that the real estate industry as a whole is the biggest group of liars and fakers I've ever seen in my life. Be careful who you trust. There's a lot of people who are far broker than you thought you ever were, that the world thinks are very profitable. So be careful who you trust. But there's a ton of people out there willing to help you. Just reach out, bounce ideas off, collaborate with some people, reach out to Gabe, reach out to me. I mean, it's what we do every day. So.
Yeah. I mean, in the groups, right? I want to thank LabCoatAgents for bringing us on to talk about a lot of resources and information. LabCoatAgents has a ton in there. Ylopo, if you're looking, a lot of what Damon and I do is responding to activity. I think he's at activity first. So really it's leveraging tech right now to create more activity in your database. When you have the activity, it's a lot easier now to respond to that and provide a lot of service on that. So again, this is being recorded. The link is in the chat for where it's getting posted to the LabCoatAgents YouTube page. I think it'll be shared in the Ylopo group as well. Damon, thanks for coming back from your camping trip, joining us live. We may have to do another one of these, maybe these off-market properties. You're saying it's a big goal of your guys' too. And we still have about 50 people. Let me know in the chat who would love to come back maybe in a couple months or so to see how Damon and his team are doing in selling off market properties and him sharing what they're doing to do that, because he's a giver if nothing else. Let LabCoat know if you guys if that's a valuable ad on how to sell more off market properties and stuff like that. I see hands going up like crazy. Throw it in chat so we have your names, we can hold you to it. But Damon, thanks for joining us. Jake, Michelle, thank you guys for being support here. We'll reach out to you. Any questions, you can find Damon and I pretty easy on social media, Facebook or Instagram. Would love to help you guys out. Thanks, Damon.
Thank you, sir.
You guys, bye-bye.